to at least ask for some level of approval of who it is we would sublet or let to. And Mr. Mortel, the city manager, does make a good point. We are consistently letting out the space in some form or fashion. So just keep that in mind. If indeed, for whatever reason, I don't know, I really don't, but if Sam Yates happens to be a part of Culpeper and Turpinning, please be aware that we sublet to all walks of life, regardless of their stance on any given topic. Thank you.
More than that, it's just the transparency of if he is subleasing from Culpeper, that is something contractually that's supposed to be disclosed. It's not an attack on him for being a bright line PR
I don't disagree.
person. Right.
I don't disagree. I'm not aware. I can't confirm or deny. I know that Culpeper and Turpinning is the one that I am aware of.
Well, that's what we want you to be able to confirm or deny. That's all. Thank you very much.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Mayor Rich?
Yes?
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 9, Mr. Baggett, please.
Resolution number 100-2025, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for funding under the fiscal year 2025-26 drone replacement program, providing for the execution of an agreement if funds are available and awarded, and providing an effective date.
Mr. Mortel, are you going to, or Mr. Baggett?
I'm happy to handle it. Essentially, the state of Florida passed a law banning the use of any particularly Chinese drones, and this is a grant opportunity for the police department to obtain another drone that is not a Chinese drone, and it's 100% paid for by the state, so there's no matching funds whatsoever. It's just authority to apply for the grant, and if we get awarded the grant, to purchase the drone.
Okay.
And the chief's here if you have any questions about it.
Questions or comments of Mr. Mortel? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Reed, Commissioner Reed?
Yes, this is for the chief. Are these beneficial in the city? Historically, have we used them? Do you have to get like drone certified? Because I saw an article come out, and I don't know if this is like a Big Brother thing. I can see both sides. This was in Miami, like where you get a 911 call and this thing just autonomously flies on scene within like 2 minutes, they were saying, and it starts filming everything going on. I know it's not to that
We're not
degree.
doing that.
I know it's not to that degree, but
Yes, I think what you're talking about is a drone as first responder program, which I think Miami has, where the drone is sent out with or just ahead of the police officers. It flies on its own and gets to the scene to check the scene out to see what's going on. That's not what our drone does. Although if I was on the radio and the drone operator happened to be sitting next to me, I could say, can you put the drone up to go to that robbery or whatever it might be. Our drones, we use them weekly, sometimes daily, depending on what's going on. Certainly for security, for any public gatherings. We have them, especially with what's going on nationally, we use the drones to clear the rooftops of buildings anywhere near any crowd, the parades, things of that nature, in addition to our staffing with our officers. If we're doing a search warrant at a particular location, the drone will go up in advance to help for security and perimeter security. We've used it for missing folks, missing persons. It does have a heat
Infrared.
the infrared, so that we can help track missing persons. And so it has about, I think, a 35 to 45 minute battery, but we have several batteries, so you can drop it, put a new battery on, and put it right back up. We have 2 of our members are certified, and if we are awarded another drone, we'd look to certify additional officers and make it available. It's a game changer with those, they have the eyes above a certain incident or scenario. So it's a very big tool for law enforcement.
okay, that clarifies it. So it's not something that's flying constantly, or it's special occasions, it sounds like.
Yes, we have to.
Yes, yeah.
We have to have somebody fly it for us. Right now, we don't have a drone as first responder program at this time.
And I should also mention that there is a state law that prohibits us from using drones for code enforcement and other purposes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if there's no
Mr.
further
Mayor.
discussion, yep.
I was going to make a motion on the resolution. Was that what you were
Go
going to do?
for it, ladies first. yeah.
No,
Resolution.
I was just going to make a comment. I was talking to the drone guy chief, and the cost difference is remarkable, and what has appeal, if the drones could be a little cheaper, would provide a much higher degree of safety for the officers is, sending these drones into dangerous situations and to check out the house first. But these are what, 30,000, Mike?
It's about 20.
Yeah, so. Where the Chinese drones are so inexpensive, they're almost disposable.
Well,
So
the DJI that we had before was about 3,500 for the top of the line one that we were using, and it's the same drone as 20. But
but
I guess
that's the law.
when you're not paying for the service, you
Right.
are the service. Like, I guess we were giving them the data instead of money.
Okay, I'll look for a motion.
Resolution number 100, 2023.
25.
25.
25,
You
sorry.
just lost 2 years.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Clark and a second by the Vice Mayor. Is there any public comment on this issue?
I have none.
Seeing none. Any additional comments or questions from the commission? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi,
Yes.
Mayor Rich.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Item 10, Mr. Baggett.
Resolution number 98-2025, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, to approve a major urban code conditional use exception to Glenn and Kimberly Gordon with Gordon Enterprises Stuart LLC, also known as the Spice and Tea Exchange, tenant at 39 Southwest Osceola Street, to allow a formula business to be located within the formula business area and to waive the required 300-foot separation between the formula business establishments, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. Mayor, if I maybe heard briefly.
Certainly.
I recently heard that they were requesting a continuance, so I wanted to read to you the board Section 11.03.11 titled Continuances under our Land Development Code. A continuance of a quasi-judicial proceeding may be requested by any party at any time prior to the conclusion of the hearing. Such request may be granted by the board in the interest of justice and fairness. If granted, the hearing shall be continued by the board to a specific date and time considering the reason for the continuance. If it is not reasonable to reschedule the hearing for a specific date and time, then the applicant shall be responsible to provide adequate notice of the new date pursuant to the requirements of the code.
So we don't have to go through the whole quasi-judicial,
We do not know.
Right, okay.
If you're,
if we're all agreed.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
they don't have to all agree.
Yeah, yeah.
3 of you.
Three of us.
So do we set a time certain then?
Yes.
I think they were requesting a date certain.
Mayor, I would move.
November 10th?
November
Yes.
10th.
Mayor, I would move that we continue.
Can we allow the Vice Mayor to make a motion?
Mayor, I would move that we continue item 10 until November 10th.
Second.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Commissioner Clark to move item 10 to the November 10th agenda.
Can we request that they make an effort to talk to each of the commissioners before the November 10th meeting?
I'm sure they'll, I've done that already, probably.
No, that's why I asked.
Okay, do we need to take public comment on this? I don't believe so, do
I
we?
have none.
What? Okay, roll call.
I apologize.
Commissioner Reed, I'm sorry.
To, Will Laughlin.
What?
Public comment.
Will Laughlin,
I
you
do have one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was present at the meeting.
You got 3 minutes. You got
Speak to
3
this
minutes.
briefly, since it's going to be
If you're
continued
moving
on, it looks like. But I was on the CRB, I was one of the members that voted yes to approve this. After I came in, I drove in that day thinking that, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't want a big business coming in here and potentially squeezing out small business. But what I discovered, I kept an open mind. What I discovered is the individuals involved see themselves as small business owners. They run and operate a niche business, which does not compete with anybody else. We had a member of the business community here who was against them, or at least not really against them, but concerned about that. Competition. They don't have competition. They would contribute to this. Another concern was they would get in a big advantage of having this corporate entity helping them along. I spoke to the corporate entity. They do not have in fact, they basically have to give up a brand-new car just for the privilege of coming in here. In addition, they have several $100,000 of expenses to come in here. So this is not a big advantage that they have for them. This niche business basically caters to the top 10% income earners. Their margins are extremely high. So I do not see this as a potentially negative thing. Also, I see a lot of potential positives. They are potential mentors. Once you see the Gordons and how they operate, you can tell very quickly that they're good people and they want to hire a local person to act as their manager. This manager, whoever that lucky individual will be, if approved, will learn how to run a small business. They've been in business for 12 years. This will be I think their fourth operation. When I spoke to corporate, they knew exactly who these people were and they said glowing things about them. And again, the corporate also identified that they could carry up to 3 local SKUs. That would mean that potentially if you had like the Martin County Honeycomb Co-op wanted to run their honey through their operation, they could. So there's opportunities for other small businesses in the area to maybe segue into this and venture on. So this is even though this code, like going back to how did the Rockefellers and the Carnegies become these super tycoons and these monopolists? Well, they couldn't do it. In the 1890s, they couldn't do it. But the early 1910, 1912, they figured out, hey, let's get Congress to pass laws and regulations that's going to make it very cost inhibitive for competition. Remember, Rockefeller said competition is a sin. Once they were able to get the Congress critters to do that, and the regulations were in place, that's when they got their monopolies. So the code, in theory, is to protect against big business, and I like this code here. But I also like how whoever came up with this code, I think was a genius. They created the options where small businesses can be allowed if they meet certain requirements. They're not competitive. They were going to contribute. So I just wanted to state, and I see they're not here, but when they do arrive, I think you're going to like what you see. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Or Commissioner Reed, did you have a comment or question?
Yes, I was actually looking forward to them coming tonight for some good discussion from my fellow board members. But what I wanted to put into the record was Ms. Gordon emailed me last Thursday at 1:55 p.m., and I won't bore you with the whole email, but at the end of it, it says, P.S. Well, I want to apologize first. I haven't called them back yet. I've been very busy this week. She says, P.S. I tried giving you a call today, but wasn't able to reach your voicemail. I just wanted to say thank you again for your time and consideration. It really meant a lot to me, as you are the only board member I've had the chance to speak with. I truly appreciate that you took the time to listen. Wishing you a wonderful weekend. So, thank you. I will call you back, by the way.
Any other comments or questions?
I do have one, Marcella Cambler.
Ms. Campbell.
Good evening, Marcella Cambler and Associates. My firm was helping the Gordons navigate the regulatory process. This is something the application that they started themselves, but then it became a major code conditional use. It wasn't just opening a store. They're not here, I am here. They mistakenly understood that just requesting this last week to staff meant it was automatically moved. Part of the reason for moving this is I think you're going to see overwhelming support from the downtown businesses. Not many of them could be here that night, but I think when you hear from them, as the board member said, you will be very impressed with their business. So thank you for moving this to the November meeting.
I'd just like to remind you, this is a motion. We are not debating the merits of this application. We are only, it is only a motion to move it forward in time. So if you really want to address that issue, Mr. Breckville, welcome.
The only thing I would ask is that the The CRB did review this. They reviewed it very, very well. We had people, and they worked really hard on it. Will made some great points. Others made some great points. So all I'd ask is that you guys maybe, if you get an opportunity to see what happened at that level, because right now, I think they did a really good job of evaluating it, and it's a tough issue. And part of the reason it's a tough issue is because this formula business code is not really clear as it relates to number 1 on the code. And so that's why I'm asking you to take, when you're taking a look at this, take a look at whether or not this code will function the way it's written, considering that we haven't had anybody denied in 10 years. So now if I'm a franchise that comes in with, 98 franchises around the United States and I have 5 or 6, is that how do you deny them when you've approved everybody else? So all I'm asking is take a look at what the CRB did, and also take a look at that language in that formula business language to see if it's even defensible going forward.
Thank you. Any others, Madam Clerk?
No, I have no
Roll call,
further-
please, then.
Mayor Rich?
Yes?
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Motion passes. Item 11, please, Mr. Baggett, for our consideration.
Resolution number 104, 2025, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing the execution of an amendment to lease with tenants at 301 Southeast Ocean Boulevard to allow for the termination of lease in the year 2028 and to allow staff to relocate in accordance with prior commission action, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Mr. Martell, I believe this is you.
Yes. As you are aware, I originally brought this to the attention of the commission at a hearing to get authorization to even begin the discussions with these 2 tenants so that we could relocate to the place. I then thought that I had both tenants' signatures in place and put it on the agenda, and only one of them got the lease back to me in time, so we heard the Bowman lease, and that was executed. And then following the Bowman lease, I received the signature from the Florida Cancer Specialists, and that is attached as well. It happens to be their 4th amendment. I don't know what the other amendments were, but the terms of the lease are remaining the same. Their rent is listed there, and essentially the purpose for this lease is that they actually had another option on top of this option. They've foregone any future options and have agreed to be out in the end of February of 2028, which is the exact same time as Bowman's, and that way we can start making plans.
Are there any questions of Mr. Martell? Entertain a motion, then?
Mayor, I'd like to move resolution number 104, 2025.
I'll second that. Okay.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Commissioner Giobi. Is there any public comment on this item?
I have none.
Any questions, additional questions or comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Rich?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
And finally, a D&D of the city manager's employment contract. As you requested that this item be put on the agenda, Commissioner Reed, I'll allow you to start it off.
All right. So, what I'm asking for from the board tonight, first I want to say I totally respect you, Mike, for what you've done for the city and what you do for the city. You've been here a long time. I wasn't here as a board member. I've been here for a year, so I wasn't a part of the hiring process for your position. But what I'd like to ask for publicly is for your resignation and for us to go look for a new city manager so I can be a part of that new process moving forward. So I'm going to make a motion tonight to place Jolie as acting city manager until we can find a replacement. And I want to do everything publicly so I can get my fellow board members' input as well, because like I said, I was not here for that. And that's what I have to say tonight.
So are you making a motion?
Yep, so my motion would be to place Jolie as acting city manager until we can find a replacement. And I'm also asking for city manager to put in his resignation as acting city manager currently.
I'll second that for purposes of discussion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Reed, and we have a second by the Vice Mayor. So is there any public comment on this motion?
Mark Breckbill, 406 Southeast Finney Drive, Stuart, Florida, 34996. You know, I think with any city manager, they're in a tough spot and they have to make tough decisions. And so you're not going to agree with all of them. But, and I would say that's true with Mike in terms of some of the things I've had. I don't agree with his answers all the time. But I think we're lucky to have somebody like him. He's an attorney. He's got experience as a city manager. He's previously been an elected commissioner, so he understands the pressure you guys are under. And I just think that to go through that whole process again, I understand that you weren't here, Sean, and I appreciate that. Some others weren't here. But there's a lot of things that happen in Stuart before a commissioner becomes a commissioner, and I don't think we make a change afterwards just because we weren't there or we want to vet it again. I mean, if there are specific issues, Mike should be given the opportunity to address those in any personnel situation and have some comment relative to what the situation was and be told. The last thing I'll say is that if we lose Mike, I'm not so sure you're going to find for that cost an attorney, a previous elected official, and a city manager who has that kind of experience and is able to help us get through this, through budgets and through everything else. So I'm not saying that for any other reason other than I think that this is a premature motion in that I think that first the council should put a group together to meet with him and find out what your issues are and have some, and I think you even mentioned that, Sean, it's a good point. Everybody's entitled to a performance review, right? And he's never had one. So I don't think it's fair to lay a person off before they've had that performance review. That's all I'm saying.
I have Robin Cartwright.
Good evening, Commissioners. I could make this very personal, but I will not. I will keep it focused strictly on issues with the contract that I've looked over extensively. So I won't discuss how I have been personally disparaged or misrepresented and then followed up with an email saying that that wasn't my intention. I won't discuss the comments where he has called people unfortunate names like a fake news reporter. I won't discuss how he has repped city staff and employees for the purposes of their divorces, private mortgages, and traffic citations, including a former city commissioner. I won't discuss how he's had access to discovery that nobody would have had access to otherwise, that he shared with two individuals so somebody could be personally sued, that he marked up, that he said he got as a public records request. So what I will share with you are the fact that he is using city resources for his personal clients. This is happening during the workday, during work hours. So is he billing simultaneously while he's being paid a salary by tax dollars? Is he using a city computer for the purposes of conducting personal business? He is definitely using city email because you can find that in the clerk of court records, not just in Martin County, but in Broward, Indian River, and St. Lucie County. He's also using the city paralegal as his personal paralegal. So is he also using Ms. Cavo's resources while she's being paid by city tax dollars to benefit his personal law business? So again, this is a concern because if we have somebody who's entrusted with public information and public access and public records, are they using what they have access to in a way that is beneficial for the taxpayers for whom they are supposed to work? Thank you.
I have Olga Hamilton.
Southwest Stuart Street, Olga Hamilton. It's, you know, I grew up during the Soviet times. Communist Party, regime, and a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of corruption, backrooms deals, lying. That's how I grew up. I smell it miles away when it happens. When the USSR collapsed, and after graduation, university, college, university, whatever it works, I was a commercial director of a state theater. State theater with 100 employees, 40 actors, each of them a Hollywood star, and 50, 60 employees. And I was responsible for bringing money, but I was also under that cap of the state, when the state dictates you what to do. It's a scary, scary stuff. It should be a scary stuff for commissioners when the commission is getting threatened if they don't do or say something or they cannot communicate with their constituents, they're getting threatened. It's very scary stuff, but it's also kind of very disappointing stuff for me to be here and you know, yes, freedom of speech and everything. But when a city official on leader position just brazenly giving false information to the commissioners, brazenly, that's not good. When he writes you one thing, another thing, things to us on our project, when right out of bed, when city commissioner, when he was a city attorney and he knew about DO agreement on sub-grant and how the city was responsible for supervising not only contractors but also consultants that city hires. But from the first day, when city manager, who is also the officer of court, right here on the dais saying, our city is not responsible for supervising the project, right in the contradiction to the agreement. That's a false information to the commissioners. I understand you commissioners have a lot of things to do. And when I write this is, as you say, my goodness, she wrote again 4 pages diatribe. But I write it to protect ourselves. And by the way, to protect you too, when I have to put all together to address every fact where was false information given. So please read it, read the documents, and I address all the documents. Over 200 emails. And more will come, not to you, but probably the petition to appropriate agencies as well, because it's not good when the city officials, when the government officials just giving false information.
Next, I have Robert Hamilton.
Robert Hamilton, 1895 Church of Stuart, 3rd Street. I just want to talk to you about operating outside the purview and the scope of your job description. That's what I contribute to this. What happened here, the city manager operated outside his scope, damaged us, hurt us, accused us of crimes. The chief's here. If I threaten somebody, come arrest me right now. Never threatened any one of you people here. Never participated in bid rigging like I was accused of. Didn't do that. Again, operating outside the purview. We have a cancer in the community. We need to remove the cancer. We need to move on. One thing I will say, he's smart. He is smart. I listen to some of the things he does, and it's a shame he didn't sit down and just talk to me, because this could have went away very quietly. I wasn't asking for anything special. We would have worked it out very quietly, and I would have got my place fixed. But now I can't have Jenkins back. I can't trust my city. My city's out to get me. I mean, I have to think with that mentality. None of us in this room, nobody should think that. Remember I told you almost a year ago, our ships are going in the same direction. This man's in a different ship. Robin's in a different ship. What's the common denominator? Why does this stuff keep happening? You negotiate. When you're an attorney, I spent a quarter of a century with them. You negotiate all the time. There was no negotiation. You were going to beat me over the head into submission. I'm still standing, I'm bloodied, and I'm here. I don't mean ill will to him or anybody else. Mr. Baggett, you're an attorney. I want my place fixed. I'm not going to keep playing. I'm not threatening nobody. I've come to you for a reason. You know the damage that was done. These people, they just do not care. And I'm sorry that we take the position we take. He has to go. When you have an issue, and I was an officer with the sheriff's department, oh, buddy, you followed that chain of command, because if not, you were out that front door, and it was Earl Rollison, the one running you out the door. Anyway, you have a hard job to do tonight. We put you here to do a hard job. Do the job. Thank you.
Ted Astolfi.
Good evening, Ted Astolfi. I'm a resident of the city of Stuart, been here about for about 40 years or so. I just want to speak up on behalf of Mike Mortel as a city manager, as a previous city attorney, as a former LPA member, as a former city commissioner. Mike, being an attorney, does nothing but defend this commission and keep you all safe from the laws and regulations of the state of Florida and the county and the city of Stuart. He defends you to the nth degree. I know people don't like him. I know they end up on the losing side sometimes. That's a hard place to be. Been there. I don't like it, but been there. You can't blame the person that you were arguing with. They're doing what they need to do for their city. I don't appreciate the ambush of an employee, any employee, and coming out and saying, I want your resignation without having talked to them first and discussing your issues with them and working through those issues and giving them an opportunity. Usually you have an opportunity for corrective action if there are issues. I've never heard this before. I don't know if Mr. Mortel has had that. I don't know if that's taken place. Didn't seem like it when I saw the item come up, but I think it's I've been through multiple selection processes for city managers and city attorneys, and I can assure you that you won't find anybody better than what you have now. We've had some people here that didn't last very long for reasons. I can just tell you from being here for so long and being involved in government, I would be very upset as a city commissioner, as a city resident, to lose Mike Mortel, especially in this way. So, thank you.
Merritt Matheson.
You know, haven't been involved lately with the city of Stuart in the past
Could you introduce yourself, please, sir, and your address?
Hi, I'm Merritt Matheson. I live at 506 Southwest South Carolina Drive, Stuart, Florida. You know, starting over, I haven't been involved much with the city the past year or so. But I've started to pay attention a little bit the past couple months. I've heard a lot of talk about transparency. I'm not seeing a lick of it right now. I'm hearing some accusations. I've never seen a commission so intent on finding a conspiracy or drumming up problems. I'm also looking at a commission where I see one commissioner who's been part of picking a city manager, besides transferring a city attorney over. But I want you all to think about what would make the right city manager. For me, it was someone that lives in the city, has their money where their mouth is, has knowledge of the job of being a commissioner, has hometown roots, has knowledge of the job of perhaps being the city attorney, and is willing to be on call 24/7, because that's what it takes. And I'll guarantee you, any new future commissioner is going to look at all these meetings. And what do you think you're going to get after they see all these meetings and all these accusations and what I just saw right now? If there's a reason to remove someone, lay out the facts. Make this a courtroom. Prove your case. That's what the 5-year job is. Every 2 weeks, the city attorney and city manager come for a job interview. You guys are their boss. But you get a lot more done if you work with your boss. But meeting after meeting, all I'm hearing is ways that you can try and prove him wrong. He works for you. Go in, sit down, and talk with him for an hour. Figure out something about a lease on Main Street, Sailor's Return, any one of the city leases. That's knowledge you should have before you come to a meeting. I'm sorry. But a lot of these questions I hear at these meetings, a commissioner should know the answer well before they come to a meeting. Do your homework. And if you're going to ask for someone's resignation, lay out the facts. Because I promise you're not going to get another city manager to apply. And I've been through them. It's not easy. You're going to be the ones on call for 24 hours a day if you do this. But if you do it, be transparent about it.
I have Raj Patel.
I think we let him.
I would just like to make a point to rebut part of that before we go on, is I actually, out of respect for Mike, I would rather not open up everything and try to litigate his faults, because if we do end up hiring another city manager, they would watch the video. And out of respect to protect Mike, and I'm not saying I'm planning on firing him right now, just to your point, hoping it doesn't go in that direction, that we don't do that. You know, and I was a part of the board that did hire Mike, and I would rather not go that path. I hope, if anything, if the intent is to hire a new city manager, that we do so respectfully and, you know, not litigate him on the dais as a neighbor, as somebody else who lives in this town that has been a previous city attorney and commissioner. Out of respect for Mike, I would rather not do what you're suggesting.
Madam Clerk?
Raj Patel.
Hi, Raj Patel. I live in Palm City, but I'm a Stuart taxpayer for many decades. I had no intention of speaking today. I just wanted to come to see what the performance review was about. Mike Mortel has done no favors for me. If at all, I've asked him to help me. He's helped within his capacity. He's not done any favors for me. A little surprised that instead of a performance review, we're asking for resignation. It's a little disappointing, considering he's got a wealth of information, and I think he does everything that the commissioners ask him to do. I watch it. I watch the commission meetings from, if I'm overseas, I watch it. If I'm here, I watch it. The man has a tough job to do. It's very sad to see this type of thing where I had no intention to speak again, but I filled out the form because commissioners asking for his resignation. I implore you to do the right thing and discuss it. Give the man a chance. Thank you.
I have no further comment.
Okay. Comments or questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, I didn't want to make any of this personal, so I won't go in that direction to address some of the comments. Some of the stuff I didn't want in front of the public, so, you know, out of respect to Mike, I was just asking politely for something different and not to go in that direction, to bring up things or accuse or any of that narrative. So I asked for it to come up as a discussion item. I've been here for a year. I respect you, whether you've been a prior commissioner, you're a current commissioner. I've been here for a year, though, and that's my thoughts, and that's why it's on the agenda. And I made a motion. It was seconded for discussion purposes, but that's where I stand.
Yes, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, so for me, I was a part of the commission that hired Mike. And, this is a hard conversation to have. We hire and fire 3 different positions. So this is probably the most important thing that we do that sets a tone for the city. Mike has been invaluable for me, both when I was campaigning, to be able to understand the issues in more detail, and every step along the way. Mike has been a huge resource to be able to understand context, past history. But, and here's the but, is, Mike's role, that city manager job, the city attorney job, and now our newly created environmental attorney job, these all serve at the pleasure of the board, is how it's characterized. Because I hired Mike, I can appreciate that we have a very different composition of our board right now. And I can also appreciate that composition may change wildly in less than a year. So though I respect Mike and who he is, who he has been, I also can appreciate, in light of this role serving at the pleasure of this commission, that if I was a new commissioner who was going to be here, for the next 3 years, that it would be very important to me, who sat in this seat, and that I very well may also want a shot at hiring somebody of my choosing. So for me, I'm open to hearing from the board. I hope we all sort of chime in here, from Commissioner Giobbe as well, what your thoughts are. But I guess I would say I'm happy to support, if that's the direction that you guys want to go in, I'm happy to support that. If it's not, then, it's not. And the manager, I guess my questions would center around how that process would take place, because in preparation for this, I went back and looked at Dave Ross and how the commission at the time handled him as a city manager. And at that time, they put Dave on like a leave, some kind of administrative leave. And Joe Lee was the acting city manager at the time. And then that gave them another meeting to, I guess it's a little bit of a different situation because this was brought up at a previous meeting where that was sprung up at a meeting. But there was a leave provided, with Joe Lee present at that next meeting so everybody could discuss their ideas and thoughts about next directions. So I guess my questions would center around, if it is the pleasure of the board to hire a new city manager, would the best path forward, if that's our will, would that be to put Mike on leave, fire him tonight, ask for his resignation? What kind of our thoughts are collectively on that?
If I can briefly respond. As it relates to the Dave Ross, there was actually some communication beforehand. As it relates to what happened tonight, the reason it was on D&D was because Commissioner Reed said he wanted to review my contract. The next day when he met with the city attorney, he said that it was some of the terms or conditions in my contract that he wanted to change, which actually would be found in the charter. So we didn't put it as an agenda item because I didn't think it was an action item. If you look at the code of conduct, it says when preparing for commission meetings, commissioners should direct questions ahead of time to the city manager so that staff can provide the desired information at the commission meeting. Meeting by ambush is never acceptable. There are an infinite number of questions an elected official can ask that can't be answered on the spot, and to do so may only serve to make staff look ineffective. I read the article in the Stuart News, and Commissioner Reed said, I'm not interested in firing the city manager. I want to talk about some other stuff, and he said that he thought the best way to evaluate the city manager would be to talk to the directors. I have to tell you, I truly am surprised at the approach we're taking tonight, just because I have been available and no one's called me to discuss terminating me once, or to tell me why they were terminating me, or to even tell me which thing I did wrong in my job. So if you're inclined to go down that path, I'm obviously not going anywhere. I've lived here my whole life. We've obviously, as you mentioned, been working professionally for the last 2 or 3 weeks in between those. I would ask that you direct that this be put on another agenda item, actually be noticed properly under the state law as it relates to due process and notice, and address it accordingly. Because there were people that asked me if they should come to tonight's meeting, and I honestly told them no. I said, I read Commissioner Reed's comments in the paper. I don't believe that's what they're bringing up tonight. I think if they're going to, they'll bring that up for another meeting. And if that's the case, then that's your guys' prerogative. I don't disagree with that. But I had no idea it was coming, and
Nor did I. Commissioner Clark?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Martell. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Reed.
Welcome.
For bringing this up. So when Commissioner Reed said something last week or the last meeting, I thought that I was surprised why he had to bring it up in the commission. I didn't realize that there was something more behind it. I thought he just wanted to get a detailed copy of the contract, and I said, I don't have any problem with that. And that's probably why nothing specific is on here other than a discussion and deliberation. And I know that we have the will as the commission to deal with the employment contract termination or whatever stage we want to put that his ability to serve us in. But I prepared in that I realized that I looked at his contract. I didn't specifically go through and see anything that he wasn't doing bad. I've heard all the things that have come before us. This one instance is not the rest of his whole service to the city and to the employees. And I just think that we need to pull back and think about this. We're at the end of the year. We're starting a new budget. Even though we're at the end of the year, we just started a new budget. Even if whether or not Mike stays on, we're talking anywhere upwards of probably $275,000 or more, plus other benefits and other things for a new person. Plus the hiring process alone is probably going to bring us into some serious money to try to get somebody from other places. This tactic and this way of dealing with things in the spirit of transparency, I don't know. I'm just very, I think the word, if you could read that, I would ask you to read that code of conduct again, but.
Meeting by ambush.
That ambush, yes. It's just very, 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 very striking to me. And I just think that we need to cool off and think about this and try to figure out how we can best manage our city. And I know that you're saying, well, that's because we might need somebody else to manage the city. But I think that if we can work with the person and the resources that we have, I will not be in favor of any type of termination of Mr. Mortel in this manner, and especially at this time.
Just for clarification, what is, other than us discussing his working for us or not, what more would the pleasure of the board signify? I mean, we cannot meet outside of these meetings to discuss it, so.
Right, so it would be,
bringing it
it'd
up
be
and discussing
bringing
it.
it
So I don't know, I feel like
formally.
I feel like we're characterizing it a little bit as not being open, but we're trying to talk about it now. That's what we're.
Yeah. We have to weigh the pros and cons of benefit to our city at this point in time.
I mean, he has specific responsibility. Is the implication that he has failed to fulfill some of these responsibilities in section 3.05? You know, we got to stop worrying about sparing his failings. We're taking his job away from him. So
Again, whoever watches
we need to know how he has failed, if he has failed. There's actually a city manager evaluation for him. I haven't taken the time to do that. I haven't spoken to a single department head. There are 11 different departments in the city. I sure as heck am going to talk to each one of them and ask how they would evaluate Mr. Mortel's. If he's failed,
do you think
in
that would
A through L,
been appropriate to do in the 2 weeks that this has been agendaed, that we would be discussing his contract? If that was the
he's
case?
certainly entitled to due process, a more reasonable process. You're asking, none of us, did you know that Commissioner Reed was going to suggest the firing? In fact, he said the opposite.
If you bring up discussion and deliberation of the city manager's employment contract, my assumption is there might be some thought about hiring a new city manager.
But he said the opposite. He in fact said the opposite.
But that would be kind of my assumption if we're going to discuss it.
Okay, but
So that's when I would use that due diligence.
rather than assume, all I had to do was read the newspaper, and he said he wasn't going to.
Maybe we shouldn't go with what the newspaper says, and we should just
Okay.
assume our due diligence on our own.
Hi, Keith, and I said I wasn't going to discuss anything else on the phone. I said you can come to the meeting, by the way. So I don't know what the news article said on that. And I didn't want to get into the weeds of specific examples
Commissioner Giobbe.
I'm
on
Commissioner
the
Giobbe.
contract for respect to Mike.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to do
You
this
can just bump me,
publicly in
Commissioner
that way.
Clark. Commissioner Giobbe.
I will agree with the people who've spoken for Mr. Mortel. He has a plethora of knowledge. He's been a city manager, he's been a city commissioner, he's been a city attorney, he's now been city manager. And he has done his job well. And if you speak to all of his directors or the employees, I'm sure that he runs those departments magnificently and that they all love him. I'm a new commissioner, and I don't want to go into the weeds, but from day one, there was a level of what I could say that misrepresentation and trust. So for me, that's an issue. And I don't really want to go further than that, but that's basically part of my agenda. And as to his knowledge and all that he's done for the city, hands down, he's knowledgeable to anyone in this room. I mean, really, he has done, in that sense, a fantastic job. He knows the city, he's lived here, he's been a resident, and we're just talking about, you have to be able, as a commissioner, whether you're new or older commissioner, you have to be able to trust the information you're given. We cannot really, I do investigate a lot, but we have to rely on someone to let us know this is the way to go. And I don't always feel that it was, I feel that sometimes it was misrepresented, and my vote was then based on that. And for that reason alone, thank you.
And you're not willing to provide specific examples of that misrepresentation?
Again, I think, as the vice mayor said, I don't think that we want this to become a court where all of the things that it shouldn't be out in the public. I'm sorry, this might be one of those reasons, one of those occasions you don't want it to be transparent.
And that's all the more reason that I would request that you schedule it for another hearing, so I'd have an opportunity to sit down with each of you and individually hear what it is you think, because I also believe that if, in fact, we were sitting down, there might be a misunderstanding between us, and I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but I also know that there were public comments earlier tonight about a thing that Paul Nicoletti was trying to get at, somebody that revealed information to Tom Kempenny. And I know the whole story of that, and I know it wasn't me, but I know that the inference has been that it was me, and I actually have addressed it on multiple occasions. And I, again, if I were sitting with you privately, I don't want to air the information about it right now, but I think I could explain to you exactly what happened. You would understand that it wasn't me, and it would be very clear that it wasn't me, because it wasn't.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, my conversation here on the diet, best thing on my mind, and anything he says, I really don't adhere to.
I was just using that as an example,
and as
though.
the same for Attorney Nicoletti. He's been an attorney here. He's been filling in and whatnot. It has nothing to do with them, honestly.
I just think the morale of the city employees, we have to consider a lot when we make these statements and do these things. And I just wish that my fellow commissioners would think about that and think about the city as a whole and the direction of the city and the morale of our employees. And I think somebody said if somebody comes in the future, the city of Stuart was not like this. And I think there'll be people who will say, I'll never apply for a job in that place. But maybe there will be.
I think there's two issues. I think there's what Mike is due, but Mr. Martell is due as an employee, as due process, as a reasonable evaluation.
Yes.
Just like any employee. And, you know, the reason to maintain Mr. Martell is not because of what difficulty or improbability of hiring another city manager may be. That's a separate issue. I just think as an employee, he deserves a review and discussion, and most people get, you know, second chances if they're guilty of gross misrepresentation or gross error in their job. I see no evidence of that. And I just, unfortunately, I appreciate your sensitivity, but I think there's nothing more damage to someone's reputation than these vague, unsubstantiated claims of incompetence and
Nobody said that.
lying.
Nobody said that.
And unfortunately, this is such an awkward process that it has to be done on the dais in public, but that's the burden we have, and I think that's a responsibility we need to accept.
I can tell you that I had anticipated bringing up that the HR department does in fact have a evaluation process that could be done. And quite frankly, in the next 2 weeks, the commission could do that evaluation process, and if the majority of the commission felt that there was a trust issue or a problem with it, it wouldn't change anything. It's not going to change the way the city gets operated for 2 weeks. I mean, I've always loved the city, and I've been committed to the city. The last thing I'm going to do is something that would be detrimental to my coworkers, because I respect all of them, and I want to make sure that they do well. So if you guys are inclined to go down that path, I would still recommend going procedurally, do the evaluation through the HR director, meet with the directors of the city, get the feedback from it, talk to the community, and then make your decision, and meet with me as well and talk to me about it so that I at least understand what your position is or why you feel the way you feel.
I'm going to let Mr. Baggett come in here. He's been patient. Mr. Baggett, do you have a comment?
Yeah, even before Mr. Mortel made his initial comments, I had made notes that we failed to properly notice the public and advertise this issue. I also put notes here in code of conduct about the ambush. I think this should have been more well advertised. This is a serious issue, although all you're asking for him is to resign, so you're not taking his job away, but he's sitting here asking for due process as an employee of the city, even without a contract, where the employees are entitled to due process. And he has a contract and he's an employment of the city, so he has more of a reason that we need to provide due process. So I think from a legal perspective, I think this should be advertised at least for the next meeting or a meeting thereafter and properly notice the public. There seems to be a lot of people from the public who had an idea that this was going on. I had no idea this was going on. I thought we were talking about the duties and responsibilities, and that's why I put together the agenda item, which included the charter. I was not prepared to hear this, but that's my legal opinion on this.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor.
So let me offer what may be I hope a reasonable, trying to work through this. Right now, and you're driving the bus, Sean, and I'm just throwing out some ideas here. You're calling for city manager's resignation to the point of due process. Potentially, as I mentioned before, historically the city with Dave Ross put Dave on administrative leave in that 2-week period, not necessarily firing him, but putting him on leave, and then having Jolie be the acting manager, maybe something like this, and then having agended for the next meeting a formal discussion of whether or not to retain the city manager or
Excuse me, can I just clarify one?
Yes.
Jolie, in fact, does not live in Stuart. He lives in Alabama, right?
I'm not saying for like a permanent.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think he even lives here now.
Solution. Okay, I'd say that because that's what Sean said, and then historically, I know Dave Ross. That's what they did with
I'm
Dave.
just saying, you're saying.
Well, who maybe
Has anybody talked to Jolie about?
Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know, but just to try to get to a solution that's reasonable. Maybe putting him on administrative leave, and then at the next meeting, discussing whether or not we retain Mike as city manager, or if we want to move forward with seeking a new city manager. That way, there's sufficient. Nobody could make a case that there's not sufficient due process, and people could show up and speak to it. And you're driving the bus. I wanted to offer that.
Am I recognized, Mayor Rich?
Certainly.
I'm not opposed to amending my motion. I have no problem sitting down with Mike and even talking to him, but I'm not going to bring specific examples up on the dais. Out of respect towards my city manager, I've known Mike for a very long time, and I don't want to go in that direction publicly. I have no problem sitting down with the city manager, though, even HR, Lee as a witness, but I'm not opposed to the administrative thing to where Mike is still here, but at the end of the day, I would like a new city manager regardless. And I understand I'm only 20% of the city, but that's my feelings, and that's how I feel.
So then, hypothetically, amending the motion to where Mike would be placed on administrative leave, and either Jolie or whoever we would decide would be the acting, and then having a meeting at the next meeting agenda to discuss, hopefully not in brutal detail, but sort of superficially our thoughts around this. We have a little more time to prepare. Everybody, all of us can really
Right, and
consider.
meet with Mike, right.
The public can have more notification. Is that reasonable?
I don't know how that works. I'm not opposed to that. I just don't know how it works. If I can,
You can amend your motion if you'd like.
Yes, you're gonna. Well, you're right. It was made and seconded, so.
No pressure, but.
yeah, I have no problem. So I'd like to amend my motion then to place city manager on administrative leave for the next 2 weeks until it comes back as an agenda item, so it's properly publicly noticed.
What does that even mean, administratively?
I mean, that's what we've done in the past historically, so that we could give notice to the public to be able to have due process, and then at that meeting we can discuss.
So no one will function in his stead for the next 2 weeks?
Oh, there you go with those negative vibes.
We need to identify someone acting city manager, and my concern with Joe Lee is he's not been made aware of this, neither have I, and I don't even think he's in the state.
No, he doesn't live
So
in Florida. He lives in Alabama.
So can we have the city attorney?
No, I cannot.
Act also?
You have to have
Act
two.
also?
No.
It has to be one of the directors, and they have to be present. I mean,
So we have the
again,
utilities
as far as the
director.
administrative leave, you guys can put me on administrative leave effective Friday if you want. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, the purpose behind administrative leave, I'm not sure, what effect or benefit it gives the city to have me not work. I'm happy to sit home if that's the case, but I'm happy to also work. So it's your call and your discretion, but if you're going to have me go on administrative leave, you have to appoint an acting city manager per the charter that's present.
So then, if that's the direction we want to go, we would need to have a special meeting with those department heads here, unless there's somebody in this room that wants to be in that position. But yeah, we'd have to have a special meeting.
Well, we could go the different.
Why don't we just,
It's not happening.
Commissioner Giobbe?
Okay. Well, we could make a blend of this. If Mike would stay on for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we need to meet with department heads and need to meet with Mike. But I don't want to air all of that on the dais
correct.
when we come back in 2 weeks.
Correct.
I agree.
Okay?
Okay.
That's fine with me.
I'm okay with that, so it'd come back as an agenda item, so I'll amend my motion for it to come back as an agenda item then, and then over the next 2
Well,
weeks.
you're withdrawing your original motion.
Well, I'm amending it, so it'd
Why don't
come
we
back.
just withdraw it for sake, ease? And your new motion is simply to bring this back
Yeah,
as
Rich,
an
is it-
agenda.
Which one's easier, Lee?
Withdraw
Just
it.
amend your motion.
No, it's
Yeah.
seconded, made and seconded, just withdraw it.
Just amend your
I'm
motion.
somewhat concerned what the motion is, so I,
Yeah.
So the motion would be for it to come back as an agenda item in 2 weeks, and in the meantime, I have no problem meeting with Mike if any other fellow board members want to meet with Mike and discuss things, but for it to come back in 2 weeks, whether or not we have a special meeting between now and then, I don't think it's necessary. So,
Good, it's a very simple motion, that this come back as an
And what
agenda item on the next meeting, for the next
Correct.
meeting.
what comes back in 2 weeks?
his employment discussion
Okay.
in 2 weeks.
After having met with Mike and some
Well,
department.
the motion does not include whether you meet with Mr. Mortel or not. That's up
Correct.
to you.
I
That
have
is
no
what
problem
Mr.
meeting.
Mortel is asking for.
Yeah.
Correct.
And probably a good idea then to have the various department heads present and/or Jolie, since that would be part of that decision-making hypothetically.
I'm pretty sure the city manager needs to live in the city, does he, or not? I would think so, so.
For an interim, not,
You can,
it's not a
you can make an
permanent.
exception, but the charter requires the city manager to be present. The problem with appointing Jolie right now is that he
He's
couldn't be
not
present tomorrow.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Was that Lee, or was it clear, Lee?
No,
My motion?
that's a clear, Madam Clerk, do you have it? It's clear?
Do you mind reading it back, just for
I have,
clarification?
city manager remains on duty, and an agenda item for his employment discussion will be brought back in 2 weeks.
Are you happy with that
Department
language?
heads should be present.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes, and department heads to be present.
Is there a second?
Second, forgive me.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Reed and a second by the Vice Mayor. Is there any additional public comment on this? No? Any addition? Okay.
Just in listening to what was said from the dais, I mean, I don't see where notice wasn't provided just here on the agenda. I understand your desire to be fair to Mr. Mortel and give him an opportunity to speak for himself, but I don't think any of this stuff was just decided by any one of you just tonight. So, as I heard Commissioner Giobbe said, this was an experience over time. So I think people were noticed. I'm not an attorney.
I disagree with you. But
Okay, fine. And as far as him being put on administrative leave, I would say that would be appropriate so that he's not in the midst of, any of the meetings and things going on. I understand there's a problem that you can't put anybody in his place tonight. So whatever the pleasure of the board is, I thank you for your consideration.
Sorry, I just want to add to.
Could you
I
just
made
fill
my
out
co-
a card,
Yeah,
sir?
it's, I
Could you fill-
made a comment before, but I would ask that you consider, at least as just advice, maybe not amending the motion, but that all of the commissioners between now and then have an opportunity to meet with the city attorney and potentially HR because we've got both a commission issue and an employment issue, and there's certain guidelines there that may get the city in trouble if we don't follow those, and it might be a good idea for, if the commission doesn't already know, now some people may already know, but probably be a good idea for the commission to sit down and just address those HR issues, what we have to follow, what we have to do if we're going to ensure that the process takes appropriate action the way it's supposed to. And, I don't know how old Mike is, but I can tell you in my case, you got a problem if you're letting me go. So anyway, I just mentioned that. I just think that's something that should be done.
Thank you. Anyone else, Madam Clerk?
I have no further public comment.
Any additional questions or comments from the commissioners?
I do.
Okay, Commissioner Reed?
For HR, is that something that should be in the motion? Meeting with HR?
She's a department head.
Yeah,
I would recommend that, absolutely, because I can provide you with the evaluation form that has been used in the past for a city manager and a city attorney. We can talk about the whole due process, and of course, the city attorney is available for that as well, and we can walk
But
you
that's
through.
not something that we're bound to. That may be a nice idea, but those 3 charter positions serve at the pleasure of the board, correct? So
True.
in the same way we had
Behavior.
in the same way we had an evaluation process with hiring Ruth, for instance, it wasn't necessary for her hiring, right? So
Well, I think the issue here.
mandating that we're meeting with anybody or,
No,
I don't think it should be in the motion is what I'm saying.
certainly not mandating that, but giving any employee an opportunity to speak to what the concerns, allegations, performance, behavior, all of those, just to have that opportunity to
course.
speak that out.
Right.
That's really what we're talking about.
Got it.
You still have the right to make the decision that you make.
But not
to
meeting with
give
HR.
any employee an opportunity to speak on their own behalf with the concerns that you have is
You don't have to meet
general
with anybody.
process.
No, but just that being included in the motion.
No,
with
no, it
meeting
should
with
not.
HR,
Right.
I think it's messy.
I don't want it to be a contingency agreed. I think the motion's fine.
You can't compel behavior.
Right.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right,
Good.
thank you.
I think the
Mr.
motion is
McChrystal.
simple.
Mr. McChrystal had a...
Frank had a comment.
Okay.
Wow, this is hard. This is about as hard as it gets. And I'm not one of those people that get up here and moan and groan about Mike for little specific issues that they have personal problems with him, for sure. No one can argue that Mike is, I mean, who's more knowledgeable about the city of Stuart? Good luck. Good luck finding somebody. Mr. Breckville's second, I guess. As much as I can be accused of not being great on great details or even caring about the great details, like when I'm introduced to you, I won't remember your name because I'm checking out your body language and who you really are. I don't care what your name is. I won't remember your name. That's just the way I've always been. But I think my strength has always been looking at things from 30,000 feet. And it's like what I'm hearing and what I've seen specifically, just as someone in the audience, is a few times where it seems like Mike's on a different page than you guys. And so I think that's the big picture. If this majority commission today, if we can all remember the election and why you were elected, okay, for the people of Stuart, what the people asked for, I guess the big picture question is, does Mr. Mortel help you in your political job to do the will of the people, or does he not? So I think that's pretty much the bottom line. None of the other little mosquito type stuff, but Do you have a city manager who is going to help you impose the will of the people of the city of Stuart that elected you? And I think, you know, as you get older, you realize that time is burning and you ain't gonna be up there forever. So that's it. That's my view from far away. I mean, that's it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no further public comment, Mayor.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
No.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collins?
Yes.
Mayor Rich?
No. See no other items for our consideration. The meeting is adjourned.